What's up, guys? For today's video, I'm gonna go over my Lotto Friday watch list for small accounts. We'll focus on 3 stocks to really narrow it down. Going over strike price, how I get strike price, going over tickers, and then breaking down flow using unusual whales. So the first thing over here, I have this list of small account plays that I like a lot, the way that the stock moves, and I've gotten kind of used to the way the stock moves. Most of these will have either around or a little bit above 0.75 on both the calls and the put sides. So if you want to play next week, you can play these as well, or you can play tomorrow's expiration date. So the first thing, always, I'm going to go over to flow, check flow, and look for things that really stick out to me. What I'm looking for here is just things that make the ticker stick out, a way to narrow down our watch list. And how I do that is look for high volume OTM calls or puts with a close date, DTE, days till expiration. And so that's basically what I do every day, no matter the watch list. But specifically with a smaller account, I already have that list made, so I can focus more on the smaller names, right? One of them is BAC. I'm going to click on BAC. See today's breakdown. Moving a little slow. All right, but the first thing I noticed are these 49.5 and 50 calls are getting hit. Next week's 50 calls are getting hit as well. 0.44 to 0.47 bid-ask spread here. But we also have these puts. I definitely said puts on these. These are definitely calls. Puts are definitely getting hit too. So I'm definitely going to keep BAC in mind. That is one on the list of tickers that I like to trade, and it always seems to have a reputable range of bid-ask spread for the smaller accounts we can play. Let's see, another one on here, AAL. We did notice that travel had a pretty good day today, even with a pretty weak overall market. So I'm going to definitely look into AAL here, today's breakdown as well. When looking at flow, another thing was asked about volume to open interest. Open interest is just people are still holding the calls or the puts, and volume is how many times it's traded. So volume will always reset to 0 every day, but OI will change based on how many contracts are still being held by a person or persons. So first thing I notice here is both the 19 and 20 calls for today and tomorrow are getting hit pretty well. I like that. On the put side, we do have 121.18 puts getting hit, as well as this 617.25 put call. So I'm going to keep AAL in mind for sure. Also, it had a strong day, as I mentioned before, with SPY pretty weak. So that's something I do like to see there. Definitely going to keep AAL in mind. NEO is another one on the list. I like playing NEO. It tends to move pretty well. Liquidity is good, so we can get in and out of these contracts. And they're relatively cheap premiums. Looks like possible head and shoulders forming on the intraday. I think that's a 30-minute. Yeah. All right, so 114.32 calls lead the way, 114.30 puts lead the way. I like that a lot. That's either, let's see, 30, so it's 45-cent move down. And on the up, 121.35. Wow, okay, 121.35 and 128.40 calls are being hit as well. So that's something cool to see. I'm definitely keeping NEO in mind. Right now I like BAC and NEO the most just because they are more OTM on the calls and the put side, so I can show us a magnet type move towards these contracts. Another one that I've really been playing lately and I like a lot is let me find it, DKNG. I've been able to kind of look, study how it's been working. And last week's weekly candle was a massive hammer candle, pretty good volume, so I liked that as well. That's probably going to be, let's see the flow if it can really show me anything here, but just based off the technicals, I do like it a lot. 124, 27, holy shit. 27 and 26 calls are getting hit the most, which are way up here. Interesting. And we definitely need to bounce off this 23.75 level, or else we're going to drop down 23.25. So that's a big move down as well. Some people are taking longer calls, it looks like here with this 414, as well as puts. So I think I like those three already. BAC, DKNG, and then again with NEO. I'm going to look at one more ticker. That ticker is going to be Uber, because Uber had some weird flow yesterday when I looked over it. Let's see. INTC is another one I like to play as well. Could have some good levels. Uber. It's pretty high call volume still. 2-to-1 call to put in terms of volume. And it looks like absolutely massive levels right here and right here. So that's something cool to see as well. Underneath or above those levels, we have a pretty decent sized move. Let's see the flow. All right. So 114, I like Uber as well. Definitely that 47 call is intriguing. So I'm going to make my watch list 4 for small accounts, especially on this lotto day. Today we saw a lot of up and down chops in the market. That news came out about possible war type things in Iran, I believe. So that's something I'm really going to look at. And we have both calls and puts here being played. Pretty OTM, especially for a Friday. Even next week's 47 calls were getting hit hard. 617.75 call. That's kind of intriguing as well. So I'm gonna keep those 4 in mind. AAL, I did like the flow overall, and travel was strong, but I think these higher OTM calls will act more as a magnet and give us a bigger move. So that's why I'm counting these 4 as opposed to AAL. Now I'm going to hop over to charts and try to find these key levels that can give us the bigger move when we couple them with flow, as well as assess possible strike plays. Assess possible strike prices, not plays. All right, so DKNG was one we noticed here. These are weekly levels up here. Good Lord, can't even see this candle with this volume down here. Pretty high volume, as we can see, and it needs to hold these levels here. I like that a lot. So I'm going to go over to 15 minute. I like to break down the 15 minute more. Kind of gives me a better way to look. But when we look at this, there's a couple things that stick out right away at DKNG. The first is this level here, about 24.9, was tested a lot, which I do like that. But on the downside, I think a better trigger would be this 24.8, 24.75 level. I like 24.8 because it's over this candle here and also acted as support here with a little bit of a bounce before consolidating and ultimately falling. So my call trigger is going to be 24.8 on DKNG. Let's see if I can. I'll do my call triggers in blue. Price targets in yellow. So I'm going to have to scroll out a little bit in order to find a downside trigger. Remember, I use the method, the 20-25% method. Adam Silver has really gone over that. So I'm going to use 25% of the last 3 to 5 days, typical daily range on DKNG. And for that, I want to be below this level here, a substantial amount. And first one, that 23.75 really sticks out. So I'm going to put my put trigger here, 23.75. I like that a lot. As we can see here, 24.8 was a big level here. 24.7. Big level here. Big level here. It was almost retested here, but it's been retested again. In terms of possible targets here, I like this level right up here, 24.93. Put this in yellow for a possible target. Remember, it's also a Friday, so we want to get in and out of these contracts a little bit faster because we do not have time on our side. So therefore, they are going to decay faster and ultimately can turn a green position red, red position green, all that good stuff. The second line I notice here is this 2514 level. What's the low on this? 2513. 25. So 2513. I like that a lot for my second possible target, as it does act as both support and resistance multiple times, ultimately falls off over the 25 psych level. As we can see here on the VPA, this node right here is bigger than all these nodes down here. So we can get a possible big move over that level, but this is going to be big resistance when it comes to actually getting through the level. On the downside, you know, the only thing I really notice is that, what are the lows here? 23, 25. That's the really only thing I notice on 23 on these levels here on the put side. So I'm going to put that as my trigger. You know, below that, there's not much saving DKNG. You're going to look at the daily, maybe we can see something there. But below that 23.75, 23.25 level, this could get a big drop off. Oh, a very substantial. Look at this VPA profile. Wow, not much down here, right? I think the next real big level we have to fret would be this level about 20 area. It's a pretty big psych level as well. But that's something that I definitely like to see, a possible big move either direction here. When it comes to playing or selecting a strike, right? For DKNG, I'm going to play 25 calls over 24.8. I want a 5-minute candle close above that. And then 23 puts below. The reasoning why is because it's a Friday. So I want to go either at the money or one out of the money because time isn't on our side at all, right? So that's one big thing there. And that'll come into all of the tickers I choose to play because of it being a Friday. If it were, say, a Monday through a Wednesday, I would play maybe 1 or 2 OTM because we do have a little bit more time on our side and the premiums are a little bit cheaper. All right, so the second one is BAC. Looks like BAC's flagging a lot. Had an okay hammer candle, but I do like this VPA profile downside, and if we can close over this, it looks pretty nice to the upside as well. So that's something I like to see a lot here. On the upside, this first level that sticks out, zoom in here a little, is whatever the heck this is. So right before we fell off, it looks like 48.95, very big level. But I'm going to move this up and use the 49. Yeah, 49 is definitely a big level as well. I'm going to use 49 for call. Ooh. 49 for calls. We'll go in blue there. And then on the downside, let's see here. So the first thing I notice is this patch here before it ultimately bounced up. So I'm going to try to go underneath that patch because I think there's going to be a lot of congestion in there. But we also have this VPA profile below it that can drop it down and give us a big move on the downside. So let's see, what level is it? So, yep, 48.5. Nice. All right, so 48.5 on the downside for puts, 49 on the upside for calls. In this case, I'm going to play 49 calls, granted, because it is a Friday. And also, that would be, playing 50 calls would have to be, you know, $1 move. BAC doesn't exactly move $1 a day in one direction most of the time. It usually is about 50 to 75 cents either direction. So I'm going to play those 49 calls as time isn't on our side, as we stated before. When it comes to possible levels I'm watching, I like this level here, about 49.10 for an upside target. And then above that, I notice this level here, a bunch of tops over here. Let's see, what level is that? 49, let's see, 49.27. I like that a lot. As we do see also on the VPA, a lot of congestion in these levels. Not too much on the down or the upside once we get over that. On the downside, underneath that level there, you know, 48.35 is going to be the first level that I think we'll test. Probably not too much to get through this level, but underneath that, I like this level here, about 48.10-ish. I'm going to use this VPA profile over here to kind of help me. So my second target is going to be that 48.10 level. Again, I'll play the 48 puts on the downside and 49 calls on the upside. Going to wait for a 5-minute close above or below in order to play those as well. The next ticker is NEO. NEO's been a little fucker recently, but I think with Tesla falling off into the day and all this flow, we could have a big move in either direction. It looks like this one's going to be a little bit more congestion with the VPA profiles, but I do think we can also get a good move here. So on the upside, first thing that sticks out is this massive VPA profile here, but I like 30.9 as a call trigger, simply because look how many times this has acted as support and resistance, even the past 2 trading days. And it was support and resistance over here. So that's a definite key level, as we can notice here. Right now we're in just kind of a free fall zone with NEO, the VPA profiles. So that's something I'm going to watch a lot there. On the downside, I like under this 30 psych level. It's acted as support a lot of times, resistance here. So I like that a lot. In terms of playing calls and puts, on the upside, I'm going to play the 31 call. And on the downside, I'm going to play 30 puts. Again, just because it is a Friday. And NEO can move $1 or so in a day. But I'm going to take the time equation hopefully out, reduce our risk, and hopefully amounts to better gains. In terms of a price target, the first level I notice on NEO is right about here at 31.10. That's a 20-cent move. Cool. That'll be my first target. I like that a lot. And then secondly, this is definitely a big level. 31.22. 31.22 is a big level. That's going to be my second target. I don't want to get too unreasonable with my targets, as it is Friday. Time's not on our side. So I want to take these profits quick and get out of the position before it can flip on me. Secondly, another level I noticed here is this 29.8 level. Definitely a big level for the downside. First target, and then second target. Oh boy, we got room. 29.63 looks to be a big level as well. So I'm going to put that as my second target. I think that's the low of this one. Yeah, 29.63. Cool. I like that a lot. And we saw with the flow, we both have calls and puts pretty high out of the money, close DTE. So that's something I like a lot there. I'm not going to go for these crazy gains, right? Because it is a Friday. And also, it's pretty unrealistic when we really think about it. So that's something cool. Underneath that 30 level, this big VPA here, I do think we could get a pretty nice fall down to 29.5. But I'm going to scale around these levels here, 29.8, 29.63. On the upside, scale 31.10, 31.22. It reduces my risk, and then I can let some runners run. I personally scale in thirds. It just makes sense to my mind. You don't necessarily have to scale in thirds, but that's how I go about scaling. And I'm going to target these levels to scale and then keep runners after that, adjusting the stop loss up more and more as we continue to be profitable. The last ticker, Uber. Not a fan of Uber. But as we can see here, Uber is a little bit weird, definitely moving funky. Looks like we're in a little bit of consolidation. Over that blue line there is a weekly breakout of a potential falling wedge, so I like that a lot as well. On the upside, Uber. So we know this is POC here about 30.4, and I like that a lot. But I'm going to move it down, my call trigger, to 43.35. Get this blue. Call trigger 43.35. I'll be playing the 44 calls on that. I like that a lot because before we ultimately fell off, that was the level that we couldn't hold. We couldn't hold that 43.35 level. So I like that a lot for a call trigger. On the downside. So first thing I notice here is this big old candle bounces off here. But ultimately, I think 42.45 is going to be a bigger level to try and clear. So I'm going to use 42.45 as my put trigger here. Not only did it act as some support here, a bunch of resistance up and down. Resistance ultimately broke through, pulled back a little, and exploded. We tested pretty close to that level as well. It's also under the 42.5 psych level and falls within our 20 to 25% range that we can calculate based off of the daily candles. In terms of a price target, let's see. This level right about here looks 42.12. Looks to be a very big level. It's acted as both support and resistance. I like that a lot. And underneath that, there's not too much until I notice this VPA profile over here, and there's a bunch of multiple tops. So 41.85 is going to be my second target here on Uber. I like using the psych levels, the 0.05s, 0.1s, because most of the time they do act as better support and resistance, just based solely off of the psych of people, and that's something really cool to see. On the upside, the first level I notice is 43.53. So let's 43.53. Let's see how that's acted in the other side. I'm gonna move that to 43.55. My first trigger. I'm actually gonna move this up. No, I like that 43.35. I think it's a good level as well. And then secondly, this level here is definitely massive. 43.78. It's been tested here. Lows over here. I like that a lot on the upside. Okay, so in terms of strike prices, I am going to play with Uber. I like 44 calls over 43.35 and 42 puts under this 42.45 level. And I think the Uber can move both ways pretty well. There's not too much up above this VPA little node, 2 nodes here, and there's certainly not a lot on the downside. So that's something I like a lot. When it comes to trading on Fridays, we don't have time on our side, right? So these contracts are going to move fast. One thing we're going to have to keep in mind a lot and really try and master here is our risk management. For me, I set a 10% hard stop loss. You don't necessarily have to set the hard stop loss per se. You can use a mental, but having that hard stop loss, it helps with my discipline. It helps me stay to my system, my plan, and really hits home on the discipline piece of my system and managing my risk so I don't lose too much if this were to bounce really hard on me in the opposite direction.